All right, Joel Gausten here from joelgausten.com. I am so thrilled uh, to be having this conversation with one of my favorite singers from one of my favorite bands for many, many years. It's a true honor to welcome from the Chameleons, Mr. Mark Burgess. Mark, how are you,
Mm.
sir?
I'm good, Joe. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're good.
Excellent. So you are reaching out to me from the road. The band
Mm,
is touring the U.S. at the moment. Uh,
mm.
where are you tonight? San Francisco?
No, Sacramento tonight. We
Sacramento.
got, yeah. We just came down from Portland. We were in Portland last night.
Excellent, excellent. I know you're just a handful of dates into this current tour. How are things going for you all so far?
Absolutely fantastic. The shows have been tremendous, and the audiences have been tremendous. The singles doing really, really well. We're getting news on that. We've made top five in England and the physical singles chart. So that's the first time in our history that's happened. So yeah, I mean everything's going so well at the moment. It's scary, really.
That's wonderful. And my congratulations to you on that chart position.
Thank you, thank you.
How amazing is it that, 43 or so years into this, you're seeing all these things happen now?
Yeah, it is amazing. It is amazing after being like in an industry, giving your life to an industry that's large, just pretending you don't exist. Suddenly, to be validated like this is it's tremendous. Yeah, it's a great feeling.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I gotta tell you, I really love what I do as a music journalist sometimes. A few weeks back, I was groggily working my way through my morning coffee, and I opened my inbox, sort of half reading things, and my eyes jumped out of my head. I went, there's new Chameleons music in my inbox, um, which of course is the new EP. Where are you? First Chameleons music in a good 20 years, if not more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the one obvious question to throw at you is why was now the time to make the Chameleons a recording entity once again?
Well, we've been planning it for quite a long time, actually. I mean, it's weird because what you initially perceived to be a hurdle, which was, of course, the pandemic, um, ended up being quite fortuitous because by the time we actually did get together, then to start a new record, all of the pieces were in place in terms of the band. For the first time, I've got the feeling that I'm in a proper band and a band that's capable of taking Chameleons forward. In the past, as Chameleons Voxer, there was the voice of the Chameleons, but we were just celebrating the music for people that wanted to hear it. But now I came to feel that finally we've got all the components that we need to take the music forward. So there was that. I mean, as I say, it was supposed to happen a couple of years earlier than it did, but COVID got in the way. So I suppose I'm a fatalist, really. I think just like it almost seemed like fate was saying to us, no, no, it's not quite time yet. You need to just wait for all the pieces to fall into place. And with Danny on keyboards and Todd on drums and Stephen moving up to guitar because with Vox he was drummer, and Reg obviously being back in the fold, my old writing partner from the beginning. Everything just fell into place. It was just like the right time.
Excellent. And speaking of Reg,
Mm,
certainly the Chameleons have had people come and go over the years. Sadly, not everyone is among the living at this point in
no.
history. But you and Reg have really been the constants from the very beginning. Here we are in 2024. Having had such a long history with him, what do you think makes it work so brilliantly after so many
I
years?
don't. I don't know. I mean, we. I'm, I've known Reg since I was like six, so and that's a long, long time. I'm 64 now, and we're still really good friends. And then when I ended up playing in the band with him, we just seemed to have that um, indefinable thing where we complimented each other. He'd come up with something, and I'd come up with something, and the two things would marry together perfectly. Or he'd play me a guitar loop, and I could immediately hear the song in it. So we'd always had that, and we'd always said that we've never really, in the years where he was off doing the rigs with Dave and I was doing all these different things with different people, we never really found that with anybody else. That kind of chemistry, that understanding. I mean, we shared certain influences growing up with records. Obviously, when music was our common denominator always. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say really how to define it, but it's just always been there.
Hmm. Now, I know this tour in particular, you're spotlighting the Strange Times album from '86,
Mm-hmm.
and you're playing the album in its entirety. Uh,
Yeah.
and albums are funny things because
Mm.
bands sometimes, well, bands almost always can't truly predict if an album's going to be the one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And by extension, there are millions of bands all over the world hoping they get one album, that
Yeah.
resonates. Um, because you're playing that material so extensively still today.
Mm.
Uh, and I think particularly in the States, I think it's very fair to say that's the album that when you mention the Chameleons, people go, "Oh yeah, Strange Times." Um, since you've had the benefit of hindsight, plus the fact you're playing that material now, why do you think that ultimately was the album for the Chameleons that sort of catapulted things forward so much?
I think it was a major step forward in our songwriting. I think our songwriting matured on that record. I think we were starting to move beyond the kind of typified post-punk type style of writing into something a bit more mature. With songs like Tears and Seriosity. We've never done anything quite like that before, and I think we were stretching ourselves as writers. We were certainly playing, but I know that John, the producer David M. Allen, who did a great job on that record, worked extensively with John, and I know John was like 5 times better drummer after that album than he was when he started it because he works. Dave works so extensively with him because it required something different from him. Arrangements like Caution demanded something different from him, and so he got a lot tighter and a lot more competent. Because basically, John had hardly played when he joined the band. It was the same as me, really, but he'd done a little bit more than I'd done, but he was really thrown in the deep end because as soon as John came in, we had the In Shreds out, we had the single, we started getting All the Light on us. We were working with Steve Lillywhite, who was one of his heroes as well as one of ours. So he's very much in at the deep end. It was all kind of came very sudden for him, and he had to like learn on the fly, like I did. So that album, I think it showed a maturity in a lot of ways. Certainly in my writing, as much as the first album is your favorite one because it's your first one, it's making the first album and you're all really tight and stuff. You're not carrying all the baggage. But personally, I always regarded that as my best work for the Chameleons was Strange Times.
Mm.
So I think there's that. I think we've always had that right from the very first record. Now we did the Pill session, and that got a lot of interest. And then we did In Shreds, and people were like scratching their heads, going, "Well, it's not really like the Pill session, is it?" But then they got into it, and then we did Scripts of the Bridge, and they're saying, "Well, where's all the In Shreds songs?" And then we did What Does Anything Mean? Basically, and they're going, "Well, it's not quite like Scripts of the Bridge." We've always kind of been a certain amount of polarization whenever we've done a new record, and I think Strange Times did that a little bit. But interestingly enough, it seemed to be the Americans that took it more to heart than anywhere else. I remember complaining that we couldn't even get the record reviewed in England, and then reading an article, a review in the New York Times where they likened it to Revolver. So I mean, that was the difference. That was the difference, really. I think it was more warmly embraced in the United States than it was in the UK. But over time, maybe, the rest of our audiences caught up with it, of course. But at the since we do it in the years since, but at the time that polarized people, and we're still doing it now. We're still polarizing people now with the single, and I'm sure the new record's going to do exactly the same thing. But I'm prepared for that. I expected it.
Well, we should mention the new EP serves
Yeah.
as a bit of a precursor to the new full-length album, which I believe is called Arctic Moon. Uh,
Yes.
that's coming out later this year.
Well, we don't exactly know when we can get it out. I mean, it's only half done. We know that we have to finish it by the end of July. We're really eager to get back to it because we're very excited by what we're doing there. But then obviously, Reg wants to do the sleeves, so he's going to need time for that. Then we deliver it to Metropolis, and then you've got all the production logistics to take into account. So I can't honestly say exactly when you can expect it, but it will be finished and mixed by the end of July anyway. So we're going to get it out as fast as we can because we want it out. We want to play it. We want to play it.
For those fans who have the new EP, how indicative is the sound of that EP to what we can expect with the album?
Like all the other records, these songs are very different from each other. They're indisputably it's Chameleons. You can hear that it's Chameleons because I mean, obviously, Reg and I are at the core of that. But everybody's bringing something to it. But the majority, the maturity of it, they're all very different. You're not going to get like 8 or 9 different variations of "Where Are You." "Where Are You" just happened to fit the bill for the debut single from the record. It just checked all the boxes. I mean, we love playing it. We really are proud of it. It's I think it's a great song, but it's not the best song from the album, and it's and there are a lot of variances of tone throughout the record. And I think the nice thing about it is that coming to it now, we're maybe during our 60s now. When we first started, we were very much in the post-punk thing. Punk had just happened, and that attitude and that kind of approach had carried over. Whereas now we're a lot more mature. We can really start to kind of indulge our real influences, the kind of influences that made us want to make music and what made us want to make records, which is really the 60s, the mid to late 70s. So, we feel like we're unfettered now by that legacy kind of style of doing things. And that's what I meant when I said I expect it will polarize the audience a bit, because you are going to have elements of your audience that want you to sound like you sounded 40 years ago, which personally I think is a bit ridiculous. But I understand that. That's perfectly fine. And to those people, I would say you have those records, right? And also you have a whole multitude of bands and artists that were influenced by those records that are doing that now much better than we could. I mean, there's you go and listen to Interpol, go and listen to Drab Majesty, go and listen to, they're all doing, or Mercury Rev, they're all doing it. Their own slant on, they openly confess that we were an influence on them, but they're doing it a lot better, I think, than we could. We want to really represent who we are now, not who we were 35 years ago.
And I think that's really always been the case with the Chameleons.
Yeah,
When people say it doesn't sound like the Chameleons, well, which one? Are we talking
yeah.
in Threads? Are we talking even Strange Times? I mean, even within the 5 or so years between those things
Mm.
changed astronomically. So,
Yeah, but then you see one of the guitar players that defined that sound left the band 20 years ago. We don't want to steal his guitar sound for the sake of maintaining some kind of legacy. I mean, that's his sound. He's took it. He's gone. We want the band to sound like who we are now. We're not going to steal somebody else's guitar sound just to try and please a fraction of our audience who just wants to sound like that, and that's it. We're not going to do that. So yeah, it's not going to sound like Scripts of the Bridge or I think Strange Times probably is the closest. But and the Tony Fletcher tracks are probably a little step closer again. But it's very definitely us. This is very definitely who we are now, and we're very excited about it. And that's the yardstick that we've always used. whenever we've done anything, we've said like, we've got to be excited by what we're doing and not think about the people that we're not making it for them. We hope they like it. We hope they get behind it. We hope it excites them as much as it excites us, but we're not making it for them. We're doing it for ourselves. We're wanting to please ourselves first. And that's the way it's been from day one, and that's the way it still is. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. I want your perspective on the music industry itself. Certainly in
Mm,
2024, it's vastly different than when it was even in 2020. Certainly going back to 84, it's a completely
mm,
different universe now. Um,
yeah.
and I talked to some artists who may have a bit of a doom and gloom outlook on the way things are now, but I am
Yeah.
curious, kind of flipping it a bit, because you're still a very active band and you're also a veteran band. You've been through all these cycles already. What do you see as some of the advantages for an artist where we are now in the music industry?
Well, you've got a lot more power over what you're doing. That's for sure. The technology is accessible to make great sounding records without having to go into places like the townhouse. So, I mean, there's that element of it. You have got access. You can create your own TV channel, right? You can create your own channels of communication. I think those things are accessible. I think the difficulty is that there's so much now that standing out and finding your audience is probably more difficult than it was. Because when we started, you had one national radio station, and if you could get on that, you were up and running. It was relatively, it wasn't easy to do, but it was relatively more simple than now, where you've got thousands upon thousands of artists all trying to get noticed through these channels like YouTube and whatnot, and Spotify or whatever. And it's very difficult for them to stand out. So I think you need, you're more reliant upon your originality now, and your inventive ways of doing things are more important now, just to get noticed. But uh, yeah. I mean, it's heads and tails situation, isn't it? It's got some advantages, as I've described. The downside of it is that it's much more difficult to make a living doing it than it used to be. Um, that Spotify now is the main source for people, and we get paid very little for having our music on there. But having said that, it's worth it for us for the exposure that it's giving us, because a lot of young people are coming to the shows who've discovered the band that way. It's worth it to us, that for the exposure. But I know that a lot of bands are disgruntled because their music's being freely available and they're not getting paid anything for it, and that's the difficulty, because you've got to be able to exist. I believe that I don't believe in hobbyist music. I think you're going to focus and dedicate to something. You want to be able to do it full time. You want to be able to focus on it full time. And we're in the fortunate position now of being able to do that. I know a lot of bands can't do that, and finding the backing. One time you got a record deal or you got a publishing deal, and that brought in some money and that gave you some backing and support. It's much difficult to find that now than it was. But I like the independence of it. I like the fact that major labels are a lot less relevant than they were. I think that's a good thing. I think the more that it's in the hands of the artist, the better. You know, making your own videos, making your own records, and finding your own audiences, and I think that's really great. I mean, it appeals to my punk ethic. You know?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I do want to mention as well, this new EP, Where Are You, is available on vinyl, but only
Yeah,
at your shows. Is that correct?
yeah. At the moment, yeah. I mean, we'll see if we can make some available for more traditional distribution. But at the moment, yeah, because Metropolis had their reasons. They didn't want to do the vinyl single. They just wanted it to be a download, and I didn't get into this to do that. I got into this to make records. Records are my passion. So we decided that we would produce our vinyl record, which is on Strange Times Entertainment, which is our own company, and they were quite okay with that. They're going to do the direct downloads. If you want to get it from Apple Music or wherever or a Bandcamp or whatever it is. you can do that with the artwork, and you can press your own CD. We're not going to do CDs; it's a waste of plastic, or a waste of resources. But you can get the artwork. You can burn your own disc if you want to do it that way. But if you want the vinyl record at the moment, yeah, you have to come to a show. I mean, we did make some available to a record store in Manchester that's very dear to our hearts. That goes we go back to the 80s with, which was Piccadilly Records in Manchester. We made a number available to them for sale and announced it, but it sold out in about an hour. So, but we'll see where we are when we finish these gigs, and I know Metropolis did want to take some vinyl from us, and they're saying, well, if they don't all sell out on the shows, then we'll take them and we'll make them available to our Bandcamp store. So, yeah, hopefully, we'll be able to do that. But we are independent. We have a finite a number of resources. We couldn't press thousands and thousands of copies of this. We had to be kind of quite frugal about it. I think we pressed a couple of thousand. So, this is the only way that we could do it, really, with getting an actual physical record out, which was important to us. The physical medium is important to us.
Yeah, important to me as well. And I'm hoping by the
Mm.
time I see you in Boston a bit later this summer, there'll be at least one more available I can snag.
Joel, I will save you one. How's that? I will make a point of saving you a copy.
You have yourself a deal. Thank you so much.
All right, mate.
I know you're going to be getting on with a gig soon, so I don't want to keep you much longer. But I did want to ask you in conclusion, um, as I've mentioned a few times throughout the interview, it's 2024, and we're talking about a new Chameleons album. You're on tour, you've got this EP,
Yeah,
um, and there have been a few breaks over the years, some rather
yeah.
long breaks in the band's history. But for you, what keeps you in this band? What does this band provide you that you simply can't find anywhere else?
Well, I mean, I regard myself as fortunate. I mean, I played with some really great people, um, who love Chameleons, but to actually find a group of people that where you feel you can take the music forward, right, and retain that je ne sais quoi that the Chameleons have. You're lucky to find that once in a lifetime, let alone twice. So I regard myself as very fortunate, to be with this group of people, and as a writing partner, that again, you're lucky if you get a partnership like that once in your career. You're lucky, you know. So to have another bite of the cherry with Reg, unfettered by um, expectations, of what you've done in the past. So I mean, I suppose if we'd had to, we would have started all over again with a new ID. But we didn't. We didn't really feel like that was fair on us. We dedicated our lives to Chameleons. So me and Reg are chameleons. We are chameleons. So to be able to do it under that umbrella, that moniker, it means a lot to us as well, because as I say, we were largely completely ignored by an industry that we gave our lives to, and we turned so many other people on that have gone on to make great records themselves, and we've come to mean so much to so many people who've treasured this music and kept this music alive. It was disgraceful to me that we were treated the way we were by this industry. So, to get a chance to actually validate our value means a lot as well. It's like two fingers up to them, really. You know what I mean? Who didn't really feel that kept telling us that we weren't relevant. Well, how relevant are they now? You know what I mean? How relevant is the enemy? How relevant is the fucking recording industry? Not very. They're not very relevant to me anyway. So, um, I mean, I took it personally. Yeah. So it makes me feel good to be with a strong band of guys, who we have a lot of love and respect for each other. We have a lot of love for the music that we're coming from, even though, as I say, three of them were actually part of that. They do love it very much, and can play it with the passion that it needs to be played. Because we're still playing legacy stuff. We're not going to abandon that stuff, obviously. But that can contribute in a positive way to take music forward into new territories, and you know, we're just enjoying it. We're excited by it. We're really loving what we do. You can't ask for anything more than that. It's working. People are coming to the shows. We're paying our rent. It's great. Couldn't ask for anything more than that, really.
Well, I couldn't ask for anything more than new Chameleons music and a US tour, man. So,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you like Where Are You, trust me, you're gonna fucking love this album because, as I say, I mean, it's a great song, but it's not the best rock on the record by any stretch. We've written some great songs already, and we're gonna, keeping our options open to compiling the album because there are still some ideas we want to explore, and there are still some things we want to kind of record. We're gonna have more material than we need. We know that we've already got more material than we need, probably. So we're keeping our options open to actually, what we'll be putting on it. But everything we work on this record is we're looking at each other going, wow, that's turned out okay, that's turned out good. So we're really excited by it. We can't wait to play it. The only reason why we're not really playing more of it is because we don't want it all over YouTube before it's actually finished. That's the kind of times that we live in now. Whereas like in the old days, a cassette bootleg, you got them, but they were quite rare to find. They weren't everywhere. But now, if we play new songs now, it's going to be all over YouTube before the album's even finished, and we don't want that. So we're keeping that to a kind of a minimum, really. But we can't wait to play it. We can't wait to play the album. Yeah.
can't wait to hear it.
Mm.
And you know, above all, Mark, just thank you for keeping the band alive, and thank you for the new music, and thank
Well,
you
it's
for
thank you for that. But I may want to emphasize that it's the audience of this band, it's the Chameleons tribe out there in their thousands that have kept this music alive. I've been able to do it because people have wanted to hear it. They're the ones that really should be thanking because they've kept us alive. They've kept us going and encouraged us at times when we wanted to throw the towel in. We just wanted to, we'd had enough. And they're going, no, keep going, keep going, keep going. And they give us their support and they give us their hard-earned fucking readies to keep going, you know what I mean? And they're the people that really we should be thanking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, as far as an audience is concerned, I know you have one to perform to relatively soon.
Yeah.
So I will leave you to that. But Mark, thank you for your time, especially on the road. I know it's tough to make the pieces fit, so I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much, mate. And I will save you a copy, don't you worry. I will make sure Joe on our desk gets you a copy, someone's side with your name on it.
Excellent. And I look forward to picking it up in Boston, my friend.
Mm. Okay, man. Yeah, good. See you there
Thank you so
in
much. Take care.
August. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.